And there are a lot of people who don't really know what awakening is. Hello, hello, and welcome to our fifth episode of Awakening to Ascension podcast. I am your host, Alex Nelson. I am here with Janae, Melissa, and Marlene. And the topic today is a broad one. It is, what is awakening? So a lot of us are going through this awakening journey, and there's not a whole lot of support with it. And there are a lot of people who don't really know what awakening is. And what I would say awakening is, it's the raising of the consciousness of the planet. So some of us are waking up to the realization that we're not living in harmony with the planet. And we have lost connection with ourselves, with our souls, with spirit. And those that are awakening are going through some very difficult times with the loneliness and misunderstanding what is happening to them. So we are here to help with that, help you with your awakening, help with your ascension. Janae, what do you think?
So I'd like to just add that when you awaken, it's not so much about the information or the knowledge that you acquire through your journey, but it's actually the remembrance of your soul and its purpose, why it's here. And an awakening can be caused most of the time by something traumatic. It can be caused by you just feeling disconnected, and it can be caused by you wanting to find out more. You just feel as though there's more to this life. And with that, what happens is, because it's this remembrance of your soul and what your journey should be, what starts to happen is anything that is not aligned with that starts to fall away. It starts to be removed from your life. So it's people, situations, environments start to dissipate out. And when that happens, is when you go through something called the dark night of the soul. And that's where you go into this loneliness because you just feel as though you've lost everything, but you actually haven't lost anything. You are stepping into finding out exactly who you are.
So for me, I would put on the table, what is your soul hungry for? What is it that you want to make the choice of? Because our consciousness is indestructible. And if we look at that, it then goes into remembering who we actually are. Because as exactly as you say, when we start to look at the things, we have something within us that is wanting more out of life. And what is it that the soul is actually asking for? If we then look at what the global impact has in terms of one soul choosing to awaken and do differently, it brings an incredible amount of stability and peace into the world. And so everything is a remembrance of that consciousness that is absolutely indestructible.
I think that's really beautiful what Marlene said. I got into numerology and decoding of the soul. And I think the first time I ever really understood there's more is when someone experienced a midlife crisis. And I feel like that when I really start understanding like what our path was here, why people go through midlife crises, why people suppress and start looking deeper I walked into a doorway of releasing all that control, in a sense of taking on a different control, which I'm still working on, because one thing does lead to another. I do truly believe we do not completely void out everything that we come in with. We come in with a lot of unresolved issues from past lives. I do believe our soul does reincarnate, and the soul is one of one. And people even say through mediumship, if the soul reincarnated, how can I still connect with my great grandfather? Well, it's all entanglement, right? It's all one. So that person could reincarnate and have a part of that soul. But what I do as a practitioner, and how I really found my awakening, my true awakening, I should say, I've always been curious. I've always had more, I wanted more answers. And when I truly figured out through neurology being my modality that really fit with me, even though I went through Reiki Master, understood energy healing, bringing it down through source, alignment, foundation, when I really understood the path of my soul, we have 7 aspects. And when you really look at what we are here as a vessel to experience this life and set a residence with our soul of how we all communicate through each other, how we take in information, how we put out information. Secondly, there's a point of where our soul untethers with that vessel and says, I know there's more. I need to connect to that light of what our creator really is. And with that, our creator untethers that, just no different than we do when we're 13 years old. They're like, oh my God, the terrible teens. Oh, go ahead, Alex.
Oh, I wanted to say that, like, as far as awakening goes, a lot of people are not, well, they're in question of whether it's real or not.
Right.
And one way, and through your awakening, you'll find like a series of seasons where you just like you'll one day you'll be super positive that this is a real and that, like the world is going in a healing direction amongst those of us that are awakened. But then other days you'll be like, oh, I'm crazy, none of this is real. So because there's like that separation, knowing like to know you're asleep, like I feel like when I was born, I've always meant that there was something more to this world. And to be fully asleep, like this is the only world you got. Like it's just plain and simple. I mean, some people don't even believe evolution exists. There's like, oh, we just got put down here by God, and this is the only planet that exists. There's no aliens, and I'm just going to go to my job and get my money and go home to my wife and kids and mow the lawn. And it's just this. What I always found is just like a very boring. Like that's not a life I want. There's got to be more. Like this, the universe is billions and billions and trillions of years old. Maybe not trillions. I don't know, but there's got to be a
It's
chance that there's more to it. And as we're remembering, like what Janae was saying, like I'm remembering who I am, and it's like this, I don't know, the veil's being lifted, and you get like these little glimpses of like who you are, and it's so empowering and so blissful.
So I'd like to just add, through your awakening, your physical body becomes heightened with your senses. So the food that you're eating, if it's a low vibrational food, it doesn't resonate with your palate anymore. The environments that you're in, the people you're around, you just start intuitively sensing differently. And that also then just allows you to understand that it's normal and you're okay. And that there's, when we've all awakened, I think what's been so difficult, specifically for me personally, is I went through my awakening completely alone. I felt completely isolated, and I felt really heart sore because I felt like the world didn't understand me. I felt like I didn't actually have any people that I could speak to about what I was going through. And I think that that's what's so beautiful about what we're creating, is just allowing you to understand that there are people that are going through this and that you don't have to feel alone. And it is the sense of vulnerability as well, because you are going through this transition, and you have to understand that it's a rebirth. That's what you're doing. You're shedding your old skin, and you're coming into a new, and that's uncomfortable. So when you think of a woman giving birth, it's painful. So I need you to understand that this process is painful, but you also something else that you could also start noticing, and something that highly resonated with me and still does, it's so crazy, is synchronicities in numbers. So when you start seeing synchronicities in numbers, you can see doubles, threes, double ones, it could be 4, 5, 7. And when you start noticing these synchronicities, it means that you're in alignment. You are stepping into your authentic truth and you are remembering. So follow it.
I do want to add, though, I do really think, though, if we do have unresolved issues that we are not aware of, and that's the things that come through patterns and cycles and our challenges with relationships, even the relationship with ourselves. I went through my Reiki training over 2 solid years, had a great foundation, had yin yoga every day, but I wanted to come home and drink alcohol. And I never really understood, like, why did I feel like I had to give up everything I did that day, especially a day of training? I would come home and drink, and I felt like, but as I knew that it was the wrong thing to do in the sense of cleaning out and bringing in that lower vibration, I felt comfortable there. I didn't feel like I was really even, like, I had to honor that new life, that new timeline that I was given, but I didn't even accept it. And when I spoke to my guide and said, why do I have this urge to drink alcohol, especially at something like this? And she's like, well, what do you think it is? I think it's celebrating. She's like, no, it's deeper than that. Just, you'll have to set an intention around it. And I do have to say, as soon as I understood intention, really what intention is, that is the golden key to the handcuffs that we have been wearing this whole time. I think that we can do all the things, but we're still going to have things poking at us and pushing us. And then when I actually learned what contracts were that we come in with, and I released myself every day, I come into my own masculine power. I don't have to be disempowered. I need that balance of my feminine and my masculine. I knew that I had to trust. I couldn't continue controlling, which is that's probably my biggest thing, that it had to be clearly in my past life, because I had past life regressions and it is so on point with my contract. And I focus on that so strongly, but I know it is such a wedge that I still don't want to give up because it's part of my story. So when I think when we actually come into this awakening, intention is a really big part of it, and understanding what intention is, because if our bodies do not resonate with that intention, we are not going to continue to grow into that awakening. We will have roadblocks of drinking, smoking, and going to a place of feeling like we are actually aligned with this. So I do think that aspect of it, I have to say, and I will be truly honest, because I'm one of those people that speaks my truth. I'm one of those people that every said, oh, you have everything that you've ever wanted. You've had the lifestyle, you've had the childhood, you've had everything. What do you really even want anymore? All I wanted was coherency, really to come through my heart and not so much with my head. I always felt like you had to be intelligent. You had to be logical. And that's really what I was chasing, is to be the smartest one in the room. I had to go to school to be an attorney for people to recognize me and trust me. But when I really came into what my heart needs, do I drink alcohol now? I don't. And I have to tell you that my own guides, because you will have a set of guides, I would have one drink, like one martini, and I was so sick the next day that I was like, couldn't even drag myself to get an IV to fix myself. One drink. And I think when we come to that place of when we really hit rock bottom, sometimes it has to take us there. And even my husband, and I'll be honest, he's like, I can't believe we paid all this money and all this. And I said, you know, honey, it's just money. But I actually, if I didn't take that path, I would have probably not be where I'm at today, if that makes sense. So I feel like everyone's awakening is going to be way different. It's not all spiritual hippie. We can be successful individuals and still go down this path and be spiritual.
Yes, I actually wanted to touch on the part where you were saying like your vibration and your frequency. Like, so when you awaken, you will want to do like all the good things, you know, like you want to eat better, you want to work out all the time, you want to just change your mindset, but you got to realize that you're breaking down years of programming and conditioning, and it'll take some time. And like myself included, I started awakening. There were times I wanted to go back and drink, and I would. And the guilt that I would put onto myself for the drinking is more of a lower vibration than the drinking itself. And that is the case with a lot of things, not all of them. But the self guilt and the self shame is super low vibrational. So you want to give yourself grace and be like, all right, well, am I at the same place I was last year? No. So that's progress moving forward. So it's like just give yourself grace when you're on the awakening path, and it'll make everything so much easier.
For sure. Give yourself grace.
And the other thing is that every little step that we take and that we do, exactly as you say, builds new neural pathways in our brain. And that is also key to actually taking the process further and further. Just little steps, baby steps. It's okay to just do it in the smallest ways possible. That is what progress actually is.
Yes.
And it's also okay if you don't do it. If there's days that you can't do it, that's also okay. Just try not to be so hard on yourself. And I wanted to add something as well before we wrap up, that you need to understand that when you do awaken, the point of it is not to float away and to be carried away into that world. You need to understand that it's mastery of living in the 3D, but embodying the 5D. So having this high vibrational frequency while still paying the bills, still doing work. And you have to have that duality and that coherence and that balance within the life. You cannot only live in that world.
Yeah, and I do want to add, I really truly believe that, and I'm sorry to say this, but it is fake it till you make it. And I had to learn compassion for other people. And I've always was not that very judgy self. I did use discernment, and everyone's like, that's golden. You're there. And I'm like, no, it's I judge myself still. And I think when we can come compassion and humility and have intention, those are such a solid vibration, such a like a vibration of like, how can you even go? That is like the frequency of love and really what our heart is. And when you can really have the coherence of your heart and your mind together, and even our gut is given such a beautiful insight of intuition, of following the gut. There's so many simple tools. I think so many people make it so much more complicated than it really is. And like I said, I was always chasing something to make me happy. And even going down this road for 3 years, it really took me the last 2 years to really resident into this big frequency, because I always felt I didn't deserve it. That's clearly why I drank. I was like, I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it. And so I think when you really have that compassion for yourself, it's a huge, huge indicator to move forward through this.
I'd also just like to mention something just about my own personal experience as well. Is it's not a race. You don't have to know all the answers immediately, and you don't have to have your gifts immediately, and you don't have to understand it all immediately. Just trust the process and allow it to come to you when the timing is right. Don't force the journey.
That's exactly right. So, yeah, awakening is not easy, um, but it doesn't have to be so difficult. I mean, if you want to go through your awakening journey alone, that's your prerogative. There is purpose to that. That's totally fine. If you would like any assistance in awakening, feel free to join our community. This is all the time we had for today. I want to thank you for watching. If you have any comments about what awakening is for you, drop it in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. And if you would like to join our community, I'll have a link in the description below. It is school.com/ascend pathway. Thank you for your time.